I'm Mark Madden. Welcome to Woo Nation Uncensored, and we're opening today's program with some big news. The battle is over. The war has been won. Becky Lynch is no longer the man. WWE isn't even using it. She is now Big Time Bex. So let's welcome to the program the 16-time world champ, the one and only man. He is the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Nate, we always knew it was going to come to this. We always knew who the winner was going to be, but it's all over.
It is. And in closing, because I'm so tired of going over it, it's not even, let's say hypothetically, he's the number one selling t-shirt for 2 years in a billion-dollar company. So let's just say they made $30 million, right? I could find out, but it's not worth it. Ultimately, the people that did that, to me, need to look in the mirror and know that I worked my whole career for that to belong to my daughter or my son. They got to look at themselves in the mirror. They got to say to themselves, boy, he took something that he worked his whole life, his ass off for every day, made a joke of it, and gave it away. That's all I can say anymore.
The proof is in the pudding. Becky Lynch is now Big Time Bex, and Ric Flair, moving forward once and forever, is the man. Now,
I'm silenced on the issue. No more.
Okay, good. Well, we wrapped it up, and the result is what was hoped for. Now, we've talked about Becky trying to be the man, and now Chris Jericho has been called the GOAT, the G-O-A-T, the greatest of all time. Although, to be fair, that's not being marketed. So where do you stand on Chris Jericho?
Well, the reason I tweeted out about that was, look, here's what, there's so much that goes into this. You just can't take my name off. So Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, and Steamboat, right? There's nobody, not just Chris, that's ever going to be one of them. Nobody, not me. I was never as technically gifted as any of them. My gig was I brought the show. Was I a good wrestler? Yes. Did I work hard? Yes. Did I have trademark sayings that I saved my money with today? To be the man, I wrote that down 25 times yesterday at a signing. So it's just unfair to even, forget that Chris did it. Other people are saying it. And you cannot compare Chris or anybody else. It's nothing personal against Chris. I've been there.
I got to say, Rick, and like I said, it's not being marketed.
Yeah.
And I do agree with your appraisal of the all-time greats, but I think Chris is a generational talent. He has a good eye for wrestling. Look how many times he's reinvented himself and in how many different places.
That's not the argument. I think he's great. I didn't say it. This is not against Chris Jericho, but he nor me, nor a lot of people are ever going to be Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, or Ricky Steamboat.
Now, how do you see Chris as a worker, both now and in his prime?
Well, I think he's always worked extremely hard. But I think that if you break it right down to it, we've talked about 100 times, punching and kicking are the fundamentals of the business, neither of which is he very good at. He works, he can do the lion tamer or all the flips, everything in the world. And this is nothing. But the guys that are the great ones are the guys that never, ever miss anything. By that, be a punch, a kick, whatever it calls for. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does make sense. But like I said, I think he is a generational talent. I think
I'm not arguing that point.
And I'll
tell you what else he is. He's a man. Chris is a man. Like when he went over to AEW, he called Vince and said, "This is what I'm doing." I mean, he always deals with things up front, which I respect him for. He's a man. I like his family. His dad was a genuine athlete, a hockey player at a very high level. But you're asking me a question. This is just my opinion. But I've been around a lot longer than all these guys. Even I'm 10 years older than Bret and Steamboat and all those guys. So I've had I've seen the greatest. The greatest of all time was Ray Stevens. I've been saying that forever. There's not enough footage out there to prove that. The second greatest is Shawn Michaels. And from there, you can put some pieces together.
No, I see what you're saying.
And Shawn, by the way, is Chris's idol.
Well, I just want to make sure Jericho gets some credit, though, because he is 50.
He is.
And one thing I got to give him credit for, he books all his own stuff in AEW, and anybody who says otherwise is lying, and it's among the most logical stuff in AEW. What I really like about Chris is his mind for wrestling. I think he gets it like few others.
I couldn't agree more. I'm not arguing over one statement, right. One word, GOAT. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I get it. Like I said, it's not being marketed, but
I mean, Becky Lynch had that on her jacket the other day. I don't know. You tell me. Come on, you know what I'm talking about. We have a lot of self-proclaimed great workers, but
one thing we've talked about many times, Nate. The word "great" is so horribly overused, not just in wrestling, but in sports and in life. It's overused everywhere.
Oh my God! And how about? I'll go back to a couple weeks ago. Michael Wilbon, Stephen A. Smith. Is LeBron James still a top 5 player? As he just had his 18th 30-point game last night. Hello.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though. I wish the Lakers were winning a little bit more. And LeBron did assemble that team. This is the guys he wanted.
I realize that. But once again, I wasn't talking about the Lakers. I'm talking about, is he still a top 5 player? Absolutely.
No question.
Oh, my God. Please.
I think he's better than top 5, don't you?
I do, too. But I met people like Michael Wilbon, who's never had on a jockstrap, are saying, what the hell? Stephen A. at least played basketball. What is a debate? It'd be like me trying to tell you how to do a sports show. I just have an opinion. Like all the marks that would crack on you or crack on me or crack on anybody. It's just an opinion. Social media.
I'm going to tell you right now, I am wearing a jockstrap even as we speak. You just can't see it.
Yeah, but
and you don't want to either.
No, now, but Mark, do you realize on this show you are a professional announcer that's worked for ESPN? You're the biggest radio show in Pittsburgh. You're entitled to have an opinion. You're not some guy getting off
opinion, and I do think.
But it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. Everybody's gonna have an opinion.
Knows what he's talking about. I just think he's wrong in this instance.
I think Michael. First of all, Tony Kornheiser almost killed Monday Night Football. We agree. I thought they were going to lose the programming. So I think it's two guys. They're probably even younger than me, but you lose track of time. And to even say that, it's not even tongue in cheek. LeBron James is either number 1 or number 2.
Oh, no question. I couldn't agree more. Now,
of all time, he breaks a record every day.
Well, I think Jordan and LeBron are the 2 best players of all time. Although, not to veer too far into basketball, but I always feel like the big guys get short shrift, like Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell and Kareem.
Will's my
don't
favorite.
Get enough credit because of their size, because they're supposed to be good because they're big.
Yeah. Well, how many good guys scored 100 points?
I know. Let me tell you. I got to tell you.
How many good guys average 54.6 points a game?
Oh, no question.
And 25 rebounds.
That brings me to my point. Like, even though I think Jordan and LeBron are better basketball players in terms of the skills of the game, if you offered me one player in his prime to build my team around, I would take Wilt Chamberlain in his prime.
My God, one of the thrills of my life was meeting him in Honolulu. He was playing beach volleyball over there, and I actually thought, my God, that's Wilt.
Who had more women, you or Wilt?
God, I don't know.
You had more wives, but I'm not sure that's a good thing.
Oh, wow. Come on, I made a couple bad decisions in my life. Come on. God.
They weren't all bad from the start.
No. They were all good initially. I'm a cowboy. It's tough being married. It's tough being married to Ric Flair.
I played that soundbite on my show the other day. Every time I leave Texas, the girls all say, "Look, there goes the all-around cowboy."
That's right, and I can barely ride a horse.
Now, look, we're all adults. Some of us use nicotine to relax, focus, or just unwind after a long day. Lucy Nicotine is a company that was created to help nicotine users find a cleaner option and feel better about the way they consume nicotine. Their latest product is slim nicotine pouches, which contain pure synthetic nicotine and provide the same satisfaction that nicotine users expect, but without any tobacco at all. Lucy Slim pouches use the newest technology for synthesizing pure nicotine in the lab. I'm talking none of the tobacco, all of the nicotine satisfaction. They come in 3 strengths, 4, 8, and 12 milligrams, and 3 exclusive flavors, spearmint, mango, and cool cider. I know a bunch of smokers. My mom smoked for 50 years. Lucy products would have been great for her. My buddy Andre uses Lucy, and it's working wonders. What a great alternative. Tell him, Nate.
Thank you, Marco. It's 2022. Don't compromise when you're choosing your nicotine products. Go with the newest tobacco-free options from Lucy. Woo!
You heard the Nature Boy. Go to lucy.co and use promo code FLAIR to get 20% off your order of Lucy Slim Pouches or any other Lucy products. That's lucy.co and use promo code FLAIR at checkout. Also, I got to give this disclaimer. Warning, this product contains non-tobacco nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. That's lucy.co, and be sure to use the promo code FLAIR. I want to get to the guys that got let go. Some people got let go by WWE, and we're going to talk about William Regal in depth in our Friends and Foes segment. And, hey, as I've often said, I don't want to see anybody get fired, but WWE always looks like the bad guy when this happens because they run their company like a business. They are publicly traded, so they have to look at the bottom line, but they always come off as villainous to the internet wrestling community.
Yeah, and that's a horrible thing because it's a business to them. And if I don't know the numbers, but if NXT is not making money, they can't keep paying people. So I don't know the answer to that, but I look at the ratings, just like I'm watching every show I can possible now so that I can talk to you intelligently about these things. But the ratings are everything. So who knows?
Well, first off, nobody told me we had to talk intelligently before we took this project on. And second off, it's just so different from the way AEW does things. And I don't know what AEW's bottom line is, but, nobody gets fired. More people get hired all the time.
Yeah, let me point something out to you, too. The reason I love Steve Regal, and he and I are very close, I was shocked that he was gone, but he left, like he said things, he made comments that were, that point out what a great guy he is.
Very classy on his way out the door, Nate. That's correct.
It's just like when I left the company. We just went personal directions. And I mean, we didn't have the same vision for me, but because then Nick Khan makes it personal. So just because I didn't want to work there and I want to do stuff like this so that I can reflect on my career, Nick, he buries me. So what do you do? And getting back to this, how, and I need someone to explain this to me, how in God's green earth do you take the Flairs, take that brand and not make it a fixture of that company?
Well, I'm not sure they haven't regarding your daughter. I mean, she's still at the very top.
I'm saying, she's for sure. I'm not talking about that. I said, how do you just not take that brand? It doesn't come along. It's like Bobby Jr. and Randy. I mean, to me, those are the things that make wrestling what it is. Randy's a 3rd generation wrestler and better than both his dad and his grandfather. Charlotte is a 2nd generation wrestler and better than me. Do you mean? But we all had our time. And to me, if I was a company, I would embrace that and go, God, this only happens so very few. Only happens so rarely.
Very rarely. No question about that. Now, among the guys who got let go was Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
And if he's still able to work, he's valuable. But in September, he was injured. But it's funny, a lot of guys leave WWE and suddenly they're cleared to work, like Bryan Danielson. What kind of future do you think Samoa Joe has?
I don't know. I mean, he's a hell of a talent. I like Joe a lot. I don't know. I tell you what else I liked. I thought Joe was great on the microphone. I liked him when he was commentating. So I don't think Joe's going to have a hard time getting a job anywhere. I
Yeah,
think he'll be just
but
fine.
where are the jobs at? What's going to open up? I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm not sure how many more guys AEW can sign. Maybe Impact can take him on where he did great work. I mean, his feud with Kurt Angle in Impact
Yeah,
was one of the most memorable things that company's ever done.
Yeah, oh, I was there when it was happening. Yeah, no, Joe's a hell of a hand. Somehow I feel like the guys that had the talent, if they want to keep doing it, he'll land somewhere.
Well, I always liked him because he was real. He was threatening.
Yeah.
You looked at him and you believed.
Yes.
And I want to see more of that. And frankly, less of small guys flipping around. And
yeah, I'll give you an example. When he grabbed Lesnar when they had a little mini feud,
right,
it was believable.
Yep.
That when he came out and grabbed Lesnar on the stage on that, I went, man, now this is believable. Does that make sense?
Oh, for sure. And I hope he winds up on his feet because, again, I think he still has something left to offer. Now, WWE has really changed NXT around. The way it's presented is a lot different. A lot of the old version wrestlers are gone, but I don't see a different product. I see mostly different people. In the ring, it looks exactly the same to me. What say you, Nate?
Well, the problem is I'm not as familiar with everybody, so I don't want to say something that I'm not.
No, but I'm talking about the trappings, like the graphics, the visuals, all that stuff. That's different, but I don't see anybody working any different. I just see the same style, and I know WWE wants the same style, but they didn't affect great change is what I'm saying. I know they want to get away from hiring indie workers and training legit athletes to be wrestlers. Maybe the change will show up somewhere down the road in that regard.
Yeah, like I say, I haven't been watching enough of NXT. I told you, I think that Rick Steiner's son's a hell of a talent.
Well, speaking of which, Rick, we jinxed everybody on this show, but we didn't jinx Rick's son, Bronn Breakker. He won the NXT championship the week after we talked about him.
I did see that, yeah. The kid's he's a generational talent. He will be, if he stays healthy.
And they brought Rick into the ring to celebrate the title win, which I thought was nice. And I'll tell you what, we talk about credibility, we talk about believability.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bronn Breakker would be a credible opponent for a Brock Lesnar or a Roman Reigns down the road. I think you can look at them in the ring and you can believe.
Absolutely. And if they want believability, bring his dad along too.
Yeah, we know how believable.
Yeah, he's real.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, Nate, are you familiar with what Matt Cardona, formerly Zack Ryder in WWE, are you familiar with what he's been doing the past year?
No.
Well, he's worked all indies.
Uh-huh.
And he's doing like angles on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And his most recent angle is, remember when you did the thing with Randy where they had the photos of you and Elizabeth?
Yes.
She was mine before she was yours?
Yes.
Well, Joey Janela, who's a real good hand on the indies, he works some for AEW. He's doing a thing where they Photoshop just like that, and he's with Matt Cardona's wife. It's really funny. And the question is, can you run an angle just on Twitter now, on the internet? Has wrestling come to that? I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. But can you do an angle on Twitter and then take the matches to indie shows and have enough people pay attention?
I don't know enough about that. I wouldn't think so, but there again, I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't think so either.
Yeah, it would depend on how big they're following. How many people follow Matt on social media?
A lot. I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he's really carved out a niche on the indies. He's like the king of the indies, and he's working Impact.
Well, he's a good hand.
Yeah, he is. I like him. I like Joey Janela as well.
Yeah.
And Chelsea Green is very striking and certainly good in whatever role she's played. So I'm curious to see how it plays out. Maybe how it plays out will answer what we're talking about right now. How was Randy when you guys did that angle with Elizabeth? Because Randy was always so jealous.
It was not cool at all. It was not. It was what started out to be fun turned into be a nightmare.
Well, expand on that. What happened?
Well, they actually got divorced. The last time
was it because of that? I mean, I know the Hogan angle.
Not because of me. No, they got. I mean, I don't want to talk about two people that aren't here, but there was it had to happen because Randy was a very controlling guy.
Well, when that angle was laid out, what was Randy's reaction initially? Did he not want to do it?
Well, he liked me, so he went along with it, but it just got to be because behind the scenes, which none of us are aware of, that their marriage was falling apart. So, and then of course, when it actually happened, I was wrestling. I'll tell you a funny story. I was wrestling Randy in Vancouver, and when Liz disappeared, she'd gone down to Miami with Hulk's wife, and to the Jockey Club or something like that. And Randy was out of his mind. And it's funny, Earl Hebner was refereeing us. And I looked across the ring and I said, see, all those days you were cracking on me for spending all my money and staying at the Marriott Hotel while you were staying at the Red Roof Inn. I said, now she's got half. I thought he was going to kill me. Half. That's what they get every time, man. 4 times, half. People say, well, is Ric Flair still working? I got money, but you can never have enough.
Well, do the math, right, Nate? 4 times half. That's 2 of all of it.
Yeah, and that doesn't include the attorney fees.
Well, again, I think Matt Cardona is a hell of a hand, and Joey Janela too.
Wendy has her own Black American Express. There we go. That's all I can say. Her own Black American Express. God bless Wendy.
You've taken care of all of them, Nate, and you're right. God bless wondrous Wendy.
Yeah.
But I hope this works out with this Cardona, Janela, and Chelsea Green angle, because they're all good performers. And again, I want to see if it works. I'm very curious. Now,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they all are good, and they all are, and if they come up with an idea that's original, and that somebody's going to fall for it, because they are good at what they do. And
well, again, it's not an original idea, but what's old becomes new again. And like I said, they're pulling off the updating of your angle with Randy and Liz.
Yeah.
They're pulling it off pretty good. Now,
hey, you know that Vince, do you remember in that angle? It's 1992. We were in Biloxi, and he made till the show was completely over. We sat there, me talking to an empty building. Remember? I made the promo all about Liz and me, Randy, and we sat and we shot that until 2 a.m. Then I said, look, will you just take a night off and come out? 'Cause you can drink all night there, right? So then me, Vince, and whoever else, Kevin Dunn, whoever was all part of that shoot, we went, and then they took off in a jet at 5 a.m. But that was so taxing. It's such a perfectionist. I sat there and did it 5 times. It was like a 10-minute promo. Randy, she's mine. Don't you understand? I was dressed up. I mean,
she was mine before she was yours.
Woo!
No, it was a great angle. And
yeah.
And actually that begs a follow-up question. When you cut a promo over and over again, because they want to get a better take, isn't there kind of a concept of diminishing returns? Don't you get to a point where it can't be any better?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But
what's the most takes you ever did on one promo?
On a pre-tape?
Yeah.
Oh God, probably 10.
Because I think
no. In the old days, when I was up there with Vince, back in like 2001, he would walk to every pre-tape position in the building and put his glasses on and watch it. If he didn't like it, he did it again. So I used to make jokes to the guys, right? I'm older now and I'm just having fun. And I would say to like Bruce Pritchard, Bruce, just make a decision. Just let it go. Just tell Vince you're going to put your big boy pants. I said, that's how you climb the ladder here, Bruce. You make a decision.
And what I used to do in WCW was when I would wander past, guys doing pre-tapes.
Yeah.
And they were just as fussy about, getting, it exactly right there, especially in the prime of the company.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you'll love this story. So
let me just, and I would wander by and they would finish a take and everybody was ready to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just say, boy, is that the best you guys can do?
Yeah.
And whoever was producing would say, come on, do it again.
Yeah. Hey, so when the first time that Randy and Edge did the ConCHAIRto to me, remember that?
Right.
So I go, Bruce, I'm only doing this once. Bruce goes, okay. I said, Bruce. And so I drank about 5 cups of coffee. I had my blade and I had, put makeup on it so nobody saw it. You know how they dragged me down the aisle? I
Right.
must have cut myself 6 times so Bruce couldn't make us redo it again. I was pouring out blood. They dragged me in the ring, gave me the ConCHAIRto, and by the way, it's not fun to watch. That's one that they never touched me, but man, that thing looked good, didn't it?
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
the
talking about two great
ConCHAIRto
workers.
rather always looks like it's destroying the guy,
Yeah.
but I never heard anybody get conked by it. Did
No.
anybody that they were always real careful?
Yes, yeah, those guys were great, but you had to have yourself in the right set of mind, especially as you get older. You're worried about getting hurt. If I was 25, I wouldn't have thought twice about it. But
I'm worried about getting hurt doing this podcast. Now, we got the live podcast on January 28th at Hot Shots in O'Fallon, Illinois, right across the border from St. Louis, which is the site of the Royal Rumble the very next night. And we're going to talk about the 92 Royal Rumble, the Ric Flair Rumble, quite a bit between now and then, and especially on the night. But let's give them a little taste. When did you find out, A, you were going to go 60 minutes in that Royal Rumble, and B, when did you find out you were winning? When did you get that information?
when I got to the building,
Not till that night.
not till that night,
Wow.
that afternoon. Jake Roberts walked up to me in the gym in the morning and said, "Hey, congratulations! This is a big deal for you." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You haven't been told?" I said, "No." I got walked in the thing, and I had no idea. I was never promised that. They just came up with it, and they said, "Can you do that?" I said, "Hell yeah, I can do that." I mean, I've been doing that my whole life.
Yeah, it's funny, too, because when you came in early, you were the second man, is that right?
Yeah.
Second or third?
I can't remember. I think DiBiase was first. I was second, or something like that. Yeah,
But
second or third.
you went over 60 minutes, and
Yeah.
we'll have the details when we do the live show at O'Fallon. But you went 60 minutes, and it's funny because I was watching, back then I had a bunch of guys I would watch the pay-per-views with. Actually,
Yeah.
no, I was there live. That's right. Boy, my memory's
Knickerbocker Arena.
Right, I was there live with two friends of mine that played minor league hockey up there, the Polomsky brothers.
Yeah.
And one of them said to me, "Wow, because I didn't know you were going to win." And one of my friends goes, "Well, he's probably not going to win now." And I go, "No, he can go 60. That's no problem. This doesn't mean he's not going to win."
Absolutely. Well, they knew that. I just was. I keep trying to make people understand. All Vince promised me was that I would make more money. He didn't.
Right.
We didn't talk about.
Oh no,
being
I
the
know
world
that.
champion.
But my
Yeah.
point being, I'm not sure the typical WWE fan
Yeah.
that had never seen you in the NWA, I'm not sure they knew what you were capable of in terms of cardio and in terms of endurance until that night.
Yeah. You're probably right. You're probably right. No, like I said, I mean, I was relatively new to their TV. TBS was one thing, but they had syndicated TV, which was a whole different world. And I was new, and that's why I didn't draw that well in California. I mean, we sold out the first couple of times, me and Hogan, but as a matter of fact, Hogan and I were in the Boston Garden the night before Mania or before the Rumble, and we sold out. But yeah, I just didn't have the exposure. Like TBS now has a lot more exposure, as we talked about last week with Tony's show. But I didn't have that exposure, and I don't think Hogan and I sold out the Garden the first time. I mean, I was not a big draw in WWE. I was a big personality. Does that make sense?
I don't know about that. I think you're a big draw moving forward, but I understand.
No,
what
I was
in the early days.
Yeah, no, I mean, I drew money as champion. I didn't mean that. I wasn't diminishing I was just saying that there are reasons why, the guys that went up there and spent years. My prime of my life was NWA. So
Right.
I was 42 years old when I went up there, and I could still work my ass off. That wasn't the point, but it still wasn't. It was different. I had cut my hair to make Herd happy. I'd done, I just wasn't me, and I didn't have the self-confidence. But once I landed there, and it's DiBiase, Terry Taylor, Road Warriors, Hulk. I mean, just all my friends from all these years, and it was the greatest year and a half I ever had. And my mistake was never going back.
Now, by the way, you mentioned TBS. It's worth noting that the first AEW show after the switch from
Yep.
TNT to TBS, did over 1 million.
Yep.
And it had that main event between Danielson and Page, which
Yep.
Hangman won in 35 minutes. But
Yep.
I think that's a big victory for AEW to get
Oh,
over 1
huge.
million having switched
Well,
networks.
and it's a big victory for those two guys, which I did tweet out. To have one match and a week later, or was it 2 weeks later? You know, in the old days, we did it a week later in every town, right? But to come back and have a match that does not, that is as good, if not better than the first one, even though it wasn't as long, that match they had was insane.
Actually, I thought that was a better match than the hour-long draw.
Yeah.
I thought they packed more into the, 35 minutes?
Yeah.
I thought they actually got more done.
That-
And I'm not saying the hour match didn't move quick, but this one moved quicker.
No, it was tremendous. I mean, I like I said, I barely know either one of those guys, but I'm never going to take anything away from guys that can work like that. That was phenomenal.
My name is Mark Madden, and besides hosting Woo Nation Uncensored with the 16-time champion Ric Flair, I am a professional sportscaster of great repute. So I am so excited to tell you about our next sponsor, Bonnie Sports. If you're like me and you like picking who you think is going to win each week, each game, each sport, Bonnie Sports is the perfect place to do it. Bonnie Sports is the easiest daily fantasy sports platform I've come across, where you just pick the teams you think will win each game and play against other fans for up to thousands of dollars in prizes. It really is that simple. You can enter daily contests for as low as $1 with prize pools up to thousands of dollars. And if you sign up today and use our code WOONATION, you'll receive a free $5 to enter any contest, including this week's $1,400 NFL Sunday contest. No deposit or payment info is necessary. You'll literally get a free $5 credit just for signing up with our code. Rick, let's pull up their 1K NFL Pick'em. I picked this one because it's $4 to enter, $1 less than the $5 they get for free with promo code WOONATION. Let's start with Raiders and Bengals. That is Sunday at 1:30. Cincinnati is -6.5. I think Joe Burrow is a sensation at quarterback. I'm going with the Bengals. What say you?
Bengals. All day long. I love Joe Burrow. And I'm so happy he came back from that knee injury. Unbelievable.
Well, the Raiders snuck in just under the wire with that overtime win against the Chargers. So the Nate and I both agree, Bengals. Let's move now to the Patriots and Bills. They play Saturday at 5:15. The Buffalo Bills are a 4.5-point favorite. Nate, I'm going with the chalk here. I'm going Buffalo. I think New England's had a great run with the rookie quarterback, but I think it ends in the wild card round.
Where is it at?
It's at Buffalo.
Buffalo. Absolutely. For Bruce Smith, my man.
Bruce Smith's not playing anymore, but Josh Allen is.
Yeah.
And I think he's the key to this game. I think he's a great young quarterback. Then we
For
got
Bruce Smith
Eagles.
and Jim Kelly, who I talked to the other day.
Well, there you go. So the Nate's got the Bills, so do I. Then we got the Eagles Bay. That's on Sunday. The Bucs are favored by 8.5. I got the Bucs all day long. I think the Eagles did yeoman's duty to even sneak into the playoffs, but Tom Brady. I know their receiving corps is depleted, but I can't go against Tom Brady.
Either can I. And who can? I mean, really.
Then we got San Francisco against Dallas. The 49ers are 3-point underdogs. And Nate, I'm going with the upset here. I think the Cowboys are the most overrated franchise in sports history ever. I think Dak Prescott's overrated. I think Zeke's past his prime. I say take the Niners.
And after watching them yesterday, I take the Niners too. Either Shanahan's a great coach, but that kid that Garoppolo, whatever Stephen A.
Right,
calls
Jimmy
him.
Garoppolo at quarterback, right?
Yeah, yes, he played outstanding. I mean, they're going to be tough to beat.
I think the Niners are coming on. I think Dallas is fading. I'll save my home team for last. Then you got the Arizona talk in the regular season. They are at the Los Angeles Rams, who have come on strong. They made some key acquisitions down the stretch. The Rams are 5-point favorites. I'm going with LA Rams. And I'll tell you, even though I think TJ Watt from Pittsburgh is the defensive player of the year, no defensive player has impact game in and game out like Aaron Donald of the Rams.
The Pittsburgh boy. Couldn't agree more. I text with him all the time.
Boy, we agree too much, Nate.
Yeah, and Von Miller is playing lights out too.
No question. Second
Yep.
childhood for Von Miller.
Yeah, yep.
Indian Summer, more accurately, in Los Angeles. And finally, Pittsburgh snuck into the playoffs in miraculous fashion when Jacksonville upset Indianapolis and Pittsburgh beat Baltimore. But they're at Kansas City, who I think is the favorite to come out of the AFC despite being the second seed in the playoffs. Pittsburgh is an underdog by 11.5. I'm going with Kansas City to win outright, obviously, to cover Chiefs all day long. I hate to see it end this way for Ben Roethlisberger, but that's how it's going to end.
Sentimentally, I feel the same way about Ben, but I don't think that they can beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead.
You disagree with our picks? Well, then put our money where your mouth is and use promo code WooNation to get a free $5 and enter into some contests. They also have daily MLB, NBA, NHL, NCAA football, basketball, golf, MMA, you name it, they got it. They have contests as low as $1, meaning our $5 free can get you into up to 5 contests. Just go to BountySports.com. That's BountySports.com on your laptop or download their 4.9 star rated app on the App Store. Remember to use the code WooNation when signing up for a free $5. No strings attached. Good luck.
Woo!
Okay, let's go to Friends and Foes now, our weekly segment. And the foe is going to be Bret Hart, who you had some matches with in WCW. And certainly you two were often compared during the course of your primes. Now, you've been mostly complimentary of Bret, but sometimes critical. Looking back, what are his pros and cons as a performer?
He's a master technician, but I just like I say, he's a great worker. I didn't think that he is charismatic in his appearance, his look, and all that. I didn't think his interview was that charismatic, but it had nothing to do with his in-ring work. He was a great worker. He was critical of me, saying I was repetitious, and I would say to him, which he's very outspoken about. I'd say, well, when you wrestle someone for an hour every night for 10 years, you're going to have to repeat something. And that finish of his was 4 moves. If that's not repetitious, I don't know what it is.
Oh, wait. Now, let me see if I have this right, okay? Inverted atomic drop.
Yep.
Backbreaker.
Yep.
Russian leg sweep.
Yep.
Elbow drop from the second rope.
Yep.
Sharpshooter.
Yep.
Now, that's off the top of my head. So don't get me wrong. I think Bret was a fabulous worker, but if we're talking repetitive, well, pot, meat, kettle.
And you know what? Every time he did it to me, it worked. He won.
No question. That's true. I remember.
Yeah. I wish I could tell you that I've ever beaten Bret Hart. I can't.
Well, I'm a fan of Bret, and I think his work in the ring.
Go back to that picture right there. Go back there. Look at that punch he's throwing. But Bret's got the whole package.
Oh, no question. No question.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm a big fan. You mentioned his charisma level in promos. I actually give him probably a bit more credit because I thought his interviews were very earnest. I thought they came across as very serious.
I agree with. I said that weren't as charismatic. That's a different word, but it's serious. It's serious.
Well, the reason why his promos were like that, Rick, and I don't know if this is good or bad, but I don't think any wrestler has ever taken himself more seriously than Bret Hart did.
Oh, no doubt
and I don't know if
about
that's good or bad, but that's the truth. Am I right?
I would say so, yeah. Well, we all took ourselves serious, but I played a clip this week where the way I started, I said, so you're the guy that says he is the best there is, the best there was, the best there will be. Because I could crack Bret up cutting a promo on him because I could just, we had really good chemistry when we were talking, right? I tweeted it out this week, that one from whatever, 20 or 30 years ago, where you're the best there is, pal. And one time I said to him, well, you were in a dungeon in Calgary. I was wrestling Brody in Singapore, and the natives were restless for an hour. So,
well, again, getting back to Bret's work, he was really smooth. I thought the best part of his repertoire were his transitions from offense to defense, to offense, from move to move. Yep. I thought he could work with any size and caliber of opponent. He was very much like you in that he could make inferior opponents look very good.
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah, but see the difference? The only thing that philosophy-wise is like, and I used to using one person as an example because he more than anybody else. But I've done it with Sting. I've done it with Hogan. I never saw myself suplex an Undertaker where Bret just had to suplex him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Bret had to quote unquote do the impossible, even if maybe in context it didn't make sense.
It didn't, because if the Undertaker's in character, he's going to take a suplex and sit right back up, right?
Right.
Boom. So if I gave the Undertaker a ball shot, which I used to say to him, sell this, he goes down, right? Right, or when Arn gave him the spine buster, right, in Toronto, and then when he sits up, I mean, it's the reaction from hell. It's a damn. You've got to be in the ring with him to feel that, because every time you think you have the guy, right, it's insane. The guy was so damn good, and what a hell of a worker.
I remember when
I saw no reason to ever suplex him.
well, I remember when the Road Warriors first came on the scene, and they would take like somebody's finish and pop right back up.
Yeah.
And it got a huge pop, and it killed the move forever.
Yeah, but Joel would listen to reason. Not so much Mike.
Now,
Mike was hard to convince of something different.
Now, Bret beat you for the WWE title in 1992 on a dark match at a TV taping in Canada. Why was it a dark match? And it kind of came out of nowhere too, didn't it? I don't think many people were expecting a title change.
Well, what happened was the night before, wrestling with Barkley in the front row, the Ultimate Warrior dropped me on my head on a vertical suplex. And I lost that. I got that inner ear thing. So when I went to the floor, I rolled up and I went to get up and I fell down. I went to get up again and fell down. And I thought I was having like a stroke or something. And what it was is I had broken a little chip off in my ear canal, in the way that's like oil. The little chip was going back and forth. And so it lasted for 6 months. I mean, I went to the Mayo Clinic, Duke, everywhere with my dad, plus my dad being a physician. And that it just didn't heal. So I called Vince and he said, get to Calgary. And the reason the match was so bad is because I had no equilibrium. The match sucked because I've never had a chance to tell the story, I guess, publicly, but yeah, I had no equilibrium because I went home for 6 months after that.
And it was a short match too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't. In other words, if Bret slammed me, right, or gave me a backdrop, right, I had to lay there for a minute. I couldn't just get up and feed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you had to collect yourself. Kind of had to collect
not collect myself, but I couldn't get up. I'd fall over.
Your balance had to be reestablished.
Yeah, and I had that for 6 months, and then one day I woke up and it was gone. I banged my head against the wall 5 times because I was going to get a Lloyd's of London check, tax-free, $750,000. And I called my dad. I said, Dad, it's gone. So I said, I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm going to get my check. He said, that's karma. Don't do it. And I didn't get it. I went back to work. $750,000, tax-free.
Well, your wives would have got it anyway.
Oh, wow. That's right. At least half.
Your dad was right on the money. He knew what was ahead. Now, you know what? You said something earlier that kind of struck a chord. I think you're right. I don't think you ever beat Bret.
I know I didn't beat. Who did I beat?
Well, you beat a few,
who did I beat?
Well, you beat Sting a couple times
with the help of 5 horsemen.
Well, they don't say how, Nate. They say how many.
I never beat Dusty.
Oh yeah, you did.
No, he tripped over Gene Kiniski. Or that was Harley who tripped over
Harley
Gene.
Who tripped over Gene, yeah.
No, he tripped over not Pat O'Connor, Luthez.
No, it was Gene Kiniski.
No, Luthez. For me and Dusty. Me and Dusty in
Kansas City. That's right.
He tripped over Luthez. So I never got a clean win. It was always with an assist.
well, but I don't think you ever beat Bret literally, which begs the question, how often did you work with Bret? Did you guys ever do like a loop in WWE? I know you worked with him a few times in WCW.
Here's the deal. Oh, the loop of WWE. Oh yeah, Bret and I did a couple hours. Yeah, I love wrestling Bret. It was a night off. No, here's the story. So Bret comes, and I see an opportunity. So I go to Eric. I said, Eric, I want to put Bret Hart over. He said, really? He said, you think I'll be good? I said, well, I don't know. You tell me.
Well, yeah, that was Bret's first match ever in WCW.
I know. In Dayton, Ohio. We stole it. And you know what? We walked out of the building, and Randy Savage was screaming, God damn it. You went too long, man. What the hell's wrong with you? I said, fuck you, Randy. We just fucking stole the show. Go out and follow that. That's the way the business was back then, man. I'm not, when I got a guy like Bret Hart that can work and is taking care of me and give me superplexes and all that, well, I'm not going to listen to anything Randy Savage says to me.
Well, do you think Bret made a mistake going to
people don't like it when you're better than they are. That's just all there is to it.
Well, right. When you're the best ever, nobody likes you. I know that.
Yeah. But I mean, that was the deal. It was like, it finally came time for me to beat Randy in Dayton, same place, Dayton, Ohio. Randy, his dad's there. It's Father's Day, and I walked back in, and Bischoff said, I was on the booking committee. He said, you're not here anymore. You're done.
Say it again.
Because I held Randy to his word. I said, I'm going to do this, put you over here, put you over there. When we get to Dayton, Ohio, you're going to put me over.
And he wouldn't do it.
No, he did put me over, but they fired me the next day. They fired me that night. I walked in, and Eric, instead of Eric going, hey, great match, he said, you're fired from the booking committee.
Wow, I never heard that story.
Well, I got a lot of them. That's why we're on a podcast. What else do you want to know? What else do you want to know?
Well, did Bret make a mistake going to WCW, even though he got more money?
Do you realize that in Daytona, Florida, I had already beaten Leon by myself for the world championship, right? In Dayton and Daytona, Florida, they booked me and Arn against Leon. He beat us both.
In a handicap match?
Handicap match.
Wow.
Yeah. He beat us both after I'd already beat him in a single match. That's how little. Why do you think Arn and I cracked and drank every night? That's what Bischoff did to me and Arn.
Well, I think drinking every night can be its own reward.
No, but you don't remember that match?
I do, but I mean, it kind of all runs together after a while. It's so long ago.
Vader beat me and Arn.
Well, if it made you drink, I can't complain because I was probably drinking with you.
No, but I meant, how ridiculous is that? We did it. We just did it. We were just cannon fodder.
Well, getting back to Bret, did Bret make a mistake going to WCW even though he made more money?
Well, for me, I opened my arms to Bret because I thought I made our company better. But I don't know what happened. But it's not a political thing, and I don't know enough about it. That's one thing I'm going to try to clarify to you. If I know for sure what I'm talking about, I will. I just know that he made more money, but as excited as someone like me was to see him come there were other people that weren't. Even though to him they said, "Oh, come on," you know what I mean? So
no question. I'll let
you read between the lines.
Well, I'm not sure he was ever used properly, Nate. He came in, he was a referee first, and I guess that had something to do with his no compete. And then, see, I would have brought him in with the replica of the WWE belt and had him be the real world champion because he never lost the Montreal thing. I would have done the same thing WWF did with you.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I say, I was glad to see him there, and I only got to wrestle him that one. I wrestled him twice, once on TV and once in Dayton, Ohio. But to answer your question, in '92, I wrestled Bret all around the country. It was great. I loved working with him.
Do you believe Montreal was really a screw job, or do you think Bret was in on it?
Oh, I think it was a screw job. I know the whole story. Yeah, but
we've been told the whole story. You don't think there's any possibility Bret was in on it?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, let me tell you something. If something that is you're part of, you don't let torment you. Okay, I wasn't part of this giving the man thing away. It torments me. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, no, I get what you mean, because
Well,
Bret has
so
carried it around like a disease ever since. And I'm not,
forever. It created so much ill blood. I mean, there's so much to it that I could talk about, but I'm not going to go there. But that isn't something you're in on that torments you. Forget the money. Like, using myself as an example, forget the money. I worked my ass off, and I own the trademark to be the man. The next day, I know I'm going on again. They stopped selling that shirt to be the man and just started selling the man. It's unethical. It's actually illegal by my contract. Think about it.
well, again, victory is yours, Nate, and that's in the rearview mirror now.
Yeah.
But it's good it got resolved the way
No,
it
but
did.
I'm following up with Randy. I'm sure that I'm sorry, Bret. I'm sure he wasn't part of it because it wouldn't have tormented him for so many years.
No, that's actually a very valid point. Now, you touched on this earlier, but you believe Bret is in the top 5 of all time, top 10 of all time, top 20 of all time? Where do you think he fits in?
Top 10.
Top 10?
Yeah.
There are some who think he's the best ever, period. And I don't think he's far from that. But like the guys in FTR, they swear by Bret. But I think sometimes it's a matter of who you grew up watching and who influenced the way you worked if you're in the business.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I can't argue that Bret's not the best of all time. I can't tell you why someone would say I was either. I once again, I think that I just, no pun intended, I brought a lot of flair. I mean, how many guys have got trademark sayings? From to be the man, limousine riding, jet flying, style and profiling, diamonds are forever. They're all trademarked. They're all mine. What other wrestler has those?
Oh, nobody. But Nate, I'll give you an example.
But that's why I'm relevant today.
No question.
Not because of anything I did. I'm relevant today because of all that shit I thought up and said time and time again back in the 80s.
Well, I'll give you an example of the argument for Bret is the best ever or one of, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think you can make the argument that Bret is top 10, top 5, maybe even best ever, like Dax and Cash think he is. I always say that the top 3 hockey players of all time are Bobby Orr, Wayne Gretzky, and Mario Lemieux in some order. Whatever order you want to put them in, I really can't argue that much. I think Lemieux's number 1. He's our hometown guy here in Pittsburgh. But there are certain guys in every profession at a certain level where it's tough to argue that they're not. And I think Bret Hart fits into that category in wrestling.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So who do you think is the best hockey player of all time?
Bob Probert.
Moving on.
Okay, the top 3 are Bob Probert, Tony Twist, and Marty McSorley.
And this is why we never talk about hockey on this podcast, for the love of God.
Who cares about scoring goals? We want to see a fight.
But before we wrap up about Bret, a couple more things. One thing I loved was in WWE when Bret was a heel in America and a babyface in Canada.
Yeah.
I have never seen babyface receptions like Bret got in Canada.
Yeah, let me just touch on something. If that hadn't been done in Montreal, it might not have hurt him as bad. But
no question.
He took that Canada stuff very serious.
No, he thought he was a Canadian national hero, and maybe he was at some level.
Well, to me, to me, you could say Bret Hart in Canada. You could say at Wayne Gretzky. I know you don't want to hear that, but Bret meant that much to wrestling in Canada as much as Wayne Gretzky did in hockey.
I don't think that's inaccurate at all within the context of wrestling.
Absolutely not. He was that famous. It wasn't the Carpentier. It wasn't the Rougeaus. It wasn't Mad Dog Rashawn. I mean, it was Bret Hart. And I've said that before publicly. I mean, if he, don't know why I wouldn't appreciate a comment like that.
Now, one thing we have to go back. A few episodes ago, we talked about brother versus brother feuds and why they don't work and the exceptions. And we totally forgot about Bret versus Owen, which we got a lot of feedback on Twitter. How can you forget that? I don't know. I don't know how we forgot that. That might be the greatest, most believable brother versus brother feud ever.
I didn't see any of it. Isn't that sad? I did not see any of it.
What, you were in WCW at the time, correct?
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
take my word for it. There were very few guys, the quality in the ring and out of Owen.
Yeah. I've only met Owen. I met Owen in passing one time. So I just, I was devastated when I heard that news. Boy, that was.
I'm the same. I met Owen when I was with WCW. I met Owen in passing at an airport.
Yeah, well, he was very highly thought of and loved by his by the people that knew him. So it's just a terrible, terrible situation. And I'm like someone can bring up my son to this day. It's been 13, it's been 7, it's been 9 years, right? But I'm sure every time his name Owen's name comes out of someone's mouth, and that Bret he probably falls apart like I do sometimes.
No question. Owen was a very memorable performer in person. Yo, it's Ric Flair and Mark Madden from Woo Nation Uncensored talking about diet smoke. You know my problem with edibles? Sometimes you get so high, it can be difficult to control the dose. There's nothing worse than being baked out of your mind when you didn't plan on it. And once you eat it, there's no going back. You just sit there, stoned out of your mind. That's why when I need the perfect medium high, I hit up my friends at Diet Smoke for their delicious Delta 8 THC gummies. You know what I'm talking about, Nate.
So what exactly is Delta 8?
Well, I'll tell you. Delta 8 is simply a slightly less potent THC. The THC that you're probably most familiar with is Delta 9. And while both are natural to the cannabis plant, Diet Smoke extracts their Delta 8 from hemp. Some may call this a loophole. I call it the secret recipe to getting a smooth, stable, and most importantly, a legal high.
Now you're probably asking yourself, does Diet Smoke really get you high?
Oh, I'm asking myself that, and the answer is, of course. The high you get with Diet Smoke is best described as somewhere between the chillness of CBD and that classic stone feeling you get with regular weed.
Diet Smoke isn't just light, it's right.
You got that, Nate. It's just right. Plus, Diet Smoke comes in 2 delicious flavors, blue raspberry and watermelon. I like blue raspberry, but Nate likes watermelon. I say try them both. Each gummy is infused with 10 milligrams of Delta 8 THC derived from American-grown hemp. And you know what they say? Buy American, get high with American. Also, Delta Smoke's Diet 8 gummies are low in sugar, fat-free, and delicious. Oh, and did I mention they're legal? So, when CBD isn't enough and traditional THC is too much, enjoy the smooth buzz of Diet Smoke. Go to dietsmoke.com and use the promo code FLAIR, F-L-A-I-R, and get 20% off your order. That's dietsmoke.com, promo code FLAIR for 20% off. As a special offer, Diet Smoke's coupon code can be used on every order. Diet Smoke is legal in most states, and it's non-prescription. Just check Diet Smoke's website to see if they ship their delicious gummies to your state. Diet Smoke's Delta 8 THC gummies are not for use or sale to people under the age of 21. Please use responsibly. Now, next up, talking friends and foes, is William Regal, who just got let go by WWE and NXT. We spoke a moment ago about how technically proficient Bret Hart was, and certainly Regal's in that category as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mechanic, all those guys from England are like fit. Billy Robinson, who broke me in, all those guys, it's a different style, but it's really, you can't see through it. It's solid as hell. I mean, with those forearm shivers that guys have, like Dory used, if you're not ready for that, it'll knock your teeth right through your lip.
Yeah, you're right. That's very accurate. The English style, the semi-shoot style, and heck, in Billy Robinson's case, an all-out shooting style. He was very respected in that regard.
Yeah,
and it's realistic.
But Billy was a bully, and Steve and Fit weren't.
Right. Oh, big difference there for sure.
Yeah,
and it's realistic, and I'm not sure realistic is necessarily a strength these days. I'm not sure the fans expect it to look real anymore.
Oh, I think they do. Once
Really?
again, well, here's the deal. And I don't understand all this, but um, the um, the pace of the matches is so different now. But when they slow it down, like Edge and Randy did, or those guys, I mean, I think that everybody's wrapped up in the demographics. I don't know what audience means more, but I think the people that expect to see real wrestling, we're at a slower pace, as opposed to real wrestling, which goes by so fast that you can't enjoy it because nobody's selling anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I mean, how do you take a DDT off the top rope and get up, and that's not the finish?
Well, and how do you take a lot of these moves, Nate, and pop right back up and go on without having sold? I
Nothing
was in
means
an indie
anything.
show about 10 years ago. I'll tell a little story here, and then we'll get back to William Regal. I was in an indie show about 10 years ago, and these two kids were working, and they've both gone on to work in major promotions, so I'm not going to make them sound like dolts by mentioning who they are now. But, they asked me what I thought of the match, and I go, you guys didn't sell enough. And they go, well, what do you mean? I said, there was a spot where one guy came off the top rope to the floor, and the guy on the floor got him in a cravat on the way down and rammed his chin off the guardrail. And Nate's, they were up to the next spot in 9 seconds. I know because I timed it.
Yeah.
I counted. I said, how long are they going to stay down? They stayed down 9 seconds after the match. I said, that could have killed the guy. Literally killed him coming off the top rope. And they both said to me, nah, you're wrong. People want us to get right back to it. And I go, okay.
Yeah, but
I almost said that's why you're in a high school gym in
yeah.
McKeesport, but okay.
Exactly. But that's what's going on in the business. One day pacing will be different. The next day it's full speed ahead again. But if you look at some of the finishes that the guys are taking out that are false finishes, it just doesn't make sense. And I think that hurts the business more than anything. Is you go, well, how in the hell did that possibly happen? Look up, they're back up, and then something even more devastating, and then they win with a roll up. You know what I mean? How many times have you seen it?
Oh, all the time.
Please.
Now, how many matches did you work with Regal? I don't recall a lot, even though you were in WCW together quite a bit.
Well, probably 25 or 30 times.
What was that like? What were those matches like?
Oh, great! It's a history lesson for a guy like me because I could never wrestle that technically. No, I love working with Steve.
Well, what were some of the things that he would do in a match with you that maybe you weren't used to? And like you said, how much did it teach you? How much did you take out of that?
Well, it's important for every wrestler to understand. You could take something 30 years later and see something if you have that opportunity. And I took a lot of what Steve did. I didn't apply it to my work because I already had a game plan. You know what I mean? But it made me realize how important some of these fundamental things that he could do that I didn't do were what made him great. Because Steve Regal will never be considered a great worker, but Steve Regal was a great worker.
Oh, I think among the boys and among the
Yeah, but I
students he
mean,
trained, he's considered a great worker.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, he'll never get that recognition.
Well,
Anybody?
let's stay with the teaching aspect of it because you heard great things about him as a teacher at NXT. And if I'm not mistaken, he was there when your daughter broke in, correct?
Yes, he was. Yep, Steve was. I
How
don't
much?
see.
Now, I know your daughter worked mostly with Fit
Yeah,
a lot back then, but how much did she work with Regal? Was he at all a factor in her development?
I don't think so. Not nearly as much as Fit. I mean, Fit. I thought he was the very best. And whatever happened, I have no idea. But for a guy like Fit, with all this wisdom and knowledge, who's traveled the world, wrestled worldwide, been in every possible wrestling formula or culture there is, right? He would sit down with the girls, and I could see Ashley, and I could see Sasha, and I could see Becky, and I could see anybody he worked with, him laying it out, and you could tell that he held their attention. You know what I mean? Where me, I'm ADD, I'm bouncing around. If someone's trying to lay out a match to me, I can't. That's why I could never really have a good match with Randy. And I had a tough time having a good match with Paige. These guys that wanted to, it's not even predetermined, but wanted to go out there and have this match put in cement, not knowing how the crowd would react. I just have never been able to do that. And maybe that's a flaw in my work.
Oh no, I don't think so. I just think you were trained a different way and came from a different time. And I'm not so sure that wasn't a better way to do it when I look at the matches then and look at the matches now.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can tell sometimes that they're going through a routine, and the fans aren't buying it. You know what I mean? And that you see that more. You'll see that more than you think you do. But that's it's not going to change. And in all fairness, again, like I try to qualify statements, the kids don't have the time. If Bronn, if Steiner's son, right? Let's say he's had 30 matches. You can't learn how to be a great for the time he's been in the ring. He's really, really good. But it's going to be, if 25 or 30 matches, you're just learning the business and probably wrestling the same guys. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no. He's not even had 30 matches.
I don't know. I've heard that from Terry Taylor. I don't know, but let's look how good he'll be in 2 or 3 years from now. That's why Randy is so damn good. Randy's been on top for 20 years, and still on top. He's not the champion, but he's still the best worker they have.
Now, why wasn't Regal a bigger star? He was a good worker. He had a good look. He had the British aristocracy thing going, that kind of vibe. Why do you think he didn't break through? Because I think he should have.
I don't know. I can't give you an answer.
I know what you mean, because there's some guys that you just think should have been bigger, and you can't really explain why, and he's one of them.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I mean, why wasn't Fit a bigger star?
Yeah.
It certainly wasn't because he couldn't work. You know what I mean?
And it certainly wasn't because he didn't have a great persona and presentation, because Regal did too.
Yeah. I don't know. But you could say that about a number of people that are really good and they don't get the opportunity. And then you'll see somebody that you can't even believe is getting a world title shot. How does it happen?
Well, that's as old as the business itself, certainly as long as I've been following. And one thing Regal did I really liked back in WCW. Remember when they paired him with Bobby Eaton and they did the Blue Bloods?
Yeah.
And Regal was trying to teach Bobby how to be a nobleman. It was kind of like My Fair Lady or Pretty Woman in wrestling. And I thought that came off really good. It was funny, and they were great in the ring.
It did. Oh, yeah. And Bobby Eaton, Great.
Yep.
Underline 3 exclamation points.
Well, I used to say that the best tag team in wrestling was whatever tag team Bobby Eaton was in.
But nobody is ever going to say that because they don't realize what they're talking about. When you talk about the top 20 workers in the business, Bobby Eaton is in it.
No question.
But his talent was hidden because he was in a tag team situation and because he didn't have great mic skills. But in-ring work, come on.
Well, that's why during that era when tag team wrestling was so big, it was the perfect time for him.
Yeah.
Because like I said, the best tag team was whatever tag team he was in.
Yep. And Cornette was a hell of a manager. It was great.
Now, before we move on, here's a great trivia question, H. Regal was WCW World TV Champ 4 times. Who held the TV title the most?
Double A.
Nope.
Can I get another try?
Take another shot.
TV title. Wasn't Arn?
Nope. That was my first guess too, but I looked it up.
And it wasn't Regal. It was Regal. TV title. I don't know.
Booker T 6 times.
Oh, okay. All right. I love Booker T.
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah.
Great guy, great worker, great everything.
Yeah.
I would have bet it was Arn too, but he was tied with Regal at 4. Although, you know what Arn told me once? Disco Inferno won the WCW TV title.
Yeah.
And Arn said to me, the era of being the FTC, that's what he called it, the former television champion.
Yeah.
He said the prestige of FTC died when somebody got the title who had Boogie Nights stenciled on his ass.
Yeah, hey, come here. Going back to the TV title. So Randy came in and Hunter was leaving, right? And that's when I had something to say about it. And so it was Randy's opinion that he beat Hunter in 5 seconds. I said, Hunter's been here, is an established commodity. How about you wrestle Arn Anderson for 15 minutes and go draw? he called me at home screaming. He said, I blew up. I told I got it. I said, buy a Stairmaster. Boom. Yeah, that idea of just creaming a guy coming in, forget that. That's why I was the guy to get creamed. Not going to cream some kid on his way out on a high road like Hunter was. Not going to happen. Not on my watch.
Now, Regal was almost always a heel.
And he ultimately did cream me. So there you go.
Regal was almost always a heel, as I recall it, and that's good. We talked about how Steamboat could never be a heel. Yeah. I don't think Regal would have made a good babyface. He just had those heel characteristics.
Yeah, I think so. I agree. He's first of all, he's a very charming guy as a person. He could have
no
made
question.
It, but he's a much better worker as a heel. His facials, crisp, sharp, stiff, all good traits for a guy that trying to portray themselves as a heel.
Nate, we're going to give a plug again to our live podcast, January 28th, Hot Shots in O'Fallon, Illinois. All the VIP tickets are sold. We still got some general admission left. And Nate's general admission, ain't nothing wrong with that because we're going to say stuff. We're going to tell stuff. Going to be stories out there that have never been told before. Am I right?
Shocking news. There are 44 tickets left.
That's it.
Yeah. And if they're not gone, I'm going to buy some for the flight attendants on the flight I'm in. We'll fill it up.
Well, that strategy's worked before, as I recall.
You want to go to the matches? Yes.
So that's Jan 28 at Hot Shots in O'Fallon, Illinois. You got to be there. The first ever live show, the Super Genius, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair Wooooo Nation Uncensored Live.
And we will be shooting.
In O'Fallon, Illinois, right by St. Louis, the site of the Royal Rumble the very next night. Now, there's a couple current wrestlers I want to discuss briefly. And one is Orange Cassidy from AEW.
Yeah.
I know you met him. What's your take on him? The slacker gimmick, the lazy guy gimmick. I like him.
I like it.
Once you've seen him, you've seen him.
Yeah, but that's just it. He's unique, though. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I like the gimmick. I mean, that's what he stands out. The reason we're talking about him, because he got your attention. He's got my attention. I love the kid. And he's really a nice guy. But I love the gimmick.
No, I'm not being critical. I'm just not sure where you go from here with the gimmick.
I don't know the answer to that either. But, I like it, and I think he can do it for a couple more years. He's just an example of a guy you don't have to have on TV every week.
Oh, no. Put it this way. You don't have to have him work every week. I think the character.
Yeah. Oh, a character on TV, but I meant working.
The character on TV is excellent TV, no question.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, you mentioned Chad Gable of WWE last week. You like him. What do you like about him? He's an Olympic wrestler, a lot of credibility, Greco-Roman in 2012 in London.
Yeah, and, he never wrestled in college. Isn't that amazing?
Not right.
Yeah, I know. I said, where'd you wrestle collegiately? I didn't. This kid, but, first of all, I'm so impressed with the guys that are classy, and I'm just gonna say this, and I'm gonna, this is true. When I was at my best, I'd have guys throw up before they worked with me. I intimidated them that much. No, that's what I swear to God. And I've had guys come over to me and say, "Thank you so very much." The night, my last match before I went to retire in WrestleMania, I mean, that's what bothers me about this whole thing. Not turning the subject around. After WrestleMania, they brought me to Raw, and every writer on the show, from Brian to Ed, everybody, asked me to autograph the format for the show as I've walked out of the building. People have been calling me Mr. Flair my whole life. That's this kid Gable. He reminds me of how people used to treat me when I was whatever I was. And he's a great talent. His problem is going to be his size, his whole career, but he can make a hell of a living. He can be Dolph, and he can work for 20 years and get rich. And he's entertaining. And every time they try to do something, I didn't like the Shorty G either, but guess what? He's back on TV because he's good. He's damn good.
I think he's good, and I think he should be used better. I think he has that kind of credibility. But
I do too.
I didn't like the Shorty G stuff either because once you see that, you can't unsee it. That gets stuck in a fan's mind.
Yeah, but now they got him a good situation again. They bounce around so much, but here's the important thing and the good thing for him is he's still there. And if you can be just a really good utility player, you're going to make money in this business and be in it for a long time. And if he gets the mindset that he can live with that, and maybe someday they'll put him up the ladder, but if he can just stay in the middle, he's making millions. He will.
How small is too small?
I don't know the answer to that.
Because he's 5'8". I think that's on the lower limit. Like this guy, Jonathan Gresham, I don't know if you've ever seen him. He's 5'4", and he can work, and he's very credible with the way he works. Mm-hmm. But I just don't know how small is too small.
Well, you have to remember, now we got Brock and Roman. So, who's going to believe that guy can wrestle Brock? Who's going to believe he can handle Roman? Makes sense?
But we had stuff like CM Punk against Undertaker, which kind of beggars belief in the size difference, but it worked.
I never thought. Did they have a good match?
Yeah, they did. And don't get me wrong. I think that match and that matchup is the exception and not the rule.
Yeah.
And like we've often
I didn't see the match.
This podcast began.
Yeah.
I think it's good that Big is coming back to wrestling. I like guys like Brock and Roman and McIntyre and Lashley being on top.
No, I like it a lot too. But it's not. This is not taken away from the smaller guys, but it's just hard. It's like when Bryan Danielson wrestled Brock. It was just a lot to look at and hard. And then, Brock gave Bryan a decent match. Which he didn't have to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it.
And Danielson took all the bumps. Like I say, he takes crazy bumps. So every formula is different, I'm
an old guy, and I like the underdog story in wrestling. But sometimes when a small guy fights a big guy, it's supposed to be a simulation of a real fight, and I just can't believe it. I just look at it right away, and I've tuned out emotionally.
That's a good point. I mean, sometimes I'll watch the show, and then if I see something that I just can't stand, I go, okay. I mean, everybody's got a different taste. Everybody's got a different opinion. That's why we're here today. Mine's just more educated, as is yours, than a lot of people with podcasts.
And in that vein, we're gonna go off the deep end the other way and take some questions from fans submitted on Twitter now. So I hope you're ready for this.
I'm ready.
Mr. T, not the Mr. T, but Mr. T tweets, "What's the fave match you've ever had with Hulk Hogan?" And that's a good question, H, because the one I remember most was the retirement match in 1994. That was Halloween Havoc in October of that year.
Yeah. Well, that was the most fun because of Sherry, but I just had fun wrestling Hulk whenever I had a chance to. But I think probably our best match was that one in Orlando that kicked off the company and got enough money in the bank to start Nitro, which I didn't know about at that time. To where Shaq was there and
right.
Sherry was with me and Jimmy was with him, and then of course the one, the Halloween Havoc that you were at, where I was going to retire. Then of course they brought me back a month later. Because Sherry was so damn entertaining. Remember, she climbed on top of the cage and Jimmy grabbed her and her dress came down. And just so much chemistry all the way around. And Mr. T looking at me going, "You ain't gonna hurt me, are you? You ain't gonna hurt me, are you?" I said, "I'm not gonna do anything to you, man. What are you talking about?" He said, I don't know what should be in that cage, you guys. Yeah, that's the way he talked to me when I see him.
Well, I remember Muhammad Ali was there too, remember?
Yeah, of course. Tommy Hearn, the Hitman was there.
And I have a picture. Now listen to this, Nate. I have a photograph of me, you, and Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
And I can't find it.
Oh, I got it here.
It's somewhere, but I can't find it. I would have that on top of my coffin at the funeral.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I know, it was fun. It was a great show.
And nobody remembers the matches. And I was at a couple of them. The one in Pittsburgh, and I forget where the other one I went to was, but you and Hogan on that house show loop when you first got to WWE.
Mhm.
And like I said in a previous podcast, you got a very strong babyface reaction. Not totally, but it was kind of a split crowd. And I'm not sure the powers that be like that.
Probably not, but yeah, I'm just basically talking about the context of the match. I loved he was so over. You know, there was guys like when Sean's a babyface and I was the heel. That big Ricky Morton, Steamboat, me against Jack Briscoe, and me against or like Terry against me. It took a real powerful heel in character and in work to heel on me. Terry could do it.
Yep.
And I was a full-fledged, right? There was no in between with me and Terry. That's why it worked. And when there's no in between, it's the best matches and the most entertaining for the crowd.
I really liked you and Ricky Morton when Ricky had that little singles run with you.
Yeah.
The Carolinas loved Ricky. They went nuts.
9-hour draws in 1 week.
Wow.
Yeah. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday.
How did you feel by the second hour draw on Sunday?
Oh, I think Arn had the car full of beer before the match was over.
Well,
Beak, let's go.
I've been in that car and I've had that beer, so that doesn't shock me at all. Here's one from Florida Mike. What were Ric's thoughts on the Trish versus Charlotte match from SummerSlam 2019 in Toronto, since Ric had worked with Trish in the past? Boy, that was a good match. And I do consider Trish Stratus a top echelon worker.
Oh,
and if memory serves, she hadn't worked very much for like 10 years going into that match with your daughter.
They tore it down.
Yep.
They tore it down. And I told Ashley, you know how honored you should be? I mean, she was. The Trish Stratus wants to wrestle you. I mean, this is Trish Stratus, who's, going to be one of the top stars of all time in the company. And I feel that sincerely. She's a wonderful person, too. But for someone of Trisha's status or level to reach out and say, I want to have a retirement match in my hometown, are you kidding me? It was absolutely fabulous. That'll be something that Ashley can talk about the rest of her life.
No question. And
treasure the minute.
And it was a great match.
Yeah.
Not a good match, but a great match.
It was great. And man, they worked their ass off all week long. Trish stays in great shape.
I think that was good for Trish too, because when she was in her prime with WWE, it was kind of the TNA era of talent, and Trish was certainly a very attractive woman, but she could go as well. She could work, and that kind of got lost in the shuffle during the prime of her career. And I think it's good that she, along with your daughter, were able to give us a reminder.
I think it was great, and they did. They were in a hell of a match.
Now, here's one from Nikki Six, not the Nikki Six. Boy, we get a lot of imposters with these tweets. Had Eric Bischoff successfully purchased WCW, would you have stayed with WCW, or was one last run in WWE always your goal? That's a good question.
Oh God. I told you the happiest night of my life was the night they closed down. Why would I sign up for it again? Are you kidding?
Well, you and Sting wrestled the last match ever, correct?
Yes, but neither one of us had been in the ring. It was horrible.
Wasn't that bad. I saw it.
Oh, God. I had a T-shirt. Steve, he just had shoulder surgery. I was a cosmetic nightmare.
Hey, you're trying to sell merchandise. That T-shirt sold thousands.
Yeah, I never got paid. So,
me neither. I wasn't there. I'd been fired 2 months before.
They go A, B, C, D, F. They forget about F on merchandise my whole career. No merch, Nate.
Here's one from Wahid who says, did Ric like wrestling Bruiser Brody? I never saw you work Brody. I mean, I'm sure you did, but I never saw it. Not live and not on TV.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
How often did you work?
Well, I probably wrestled Frank, probably 100 times.
And he was really safe, wasn't he? He wasn't crazy like you would think.
Well, he was, yeah, no, he was very safe. But I mean, he never hurt me, never. It looked like, I mean, those kicks and all that. I'm not saying they weren't in there, but we did a finish one night where I suggested in St. Louis where I throw a chair into the ring, which was hard to get by Sam. And they were filming it for Japanese TV. We were at the Checkerdome. It was sold out, slammed. Where Brody, I said, "Can I trust you?" Where he threw me in the corner, I did the flip and ran down and went to jump off, right? And he caught me midair with a chair, boom. And I swear, I wish that was on camera somewhere, but yeah, he was a big, imposing guy. But if he respected you like he did me, it was a night off, and I really felt like I'd accomplished something. Even Bret's name's been on the show for the last hour and a half. Bret said to me, "What was it like wrestling Brody?" And I said, "It's hard to explain, especially for an hour, because the big son of a bitch would never get tired. He'd never get tired. Unbelievable."
Well, I'm surprised Sam Muchnick let you do that finish with the chair. I really am.
I said, "Well, it took a lot of finagling, but we did it." That wasn't the finish. The referee was down. He hit me with it.
What was the finish?
An hour.
Wow.
Yeah, we won an hour.
Were you world champ then?
Huh?
Were you the world champion then?
Yes.
Wow. I would
But
like
see,
to see that.
I wrestled him here's where I wrestled him. I wrestled him in Kansas City, some other towns in the Kansas City territory, and I wrestled him in St. Louis, and I wrestled him in Japan. So I'm thinking maybe 75 times, but they were always to an hour draw.
Now, here's one from Shep. I would love to know what you think about wrestling in North Korea. What was it like? Now, that was at Collision in Korea, 2 nights in North Korea, April of 95. And that was a crazy trip. There was a documentary. North Korea was a dictatorship as now and a scary place, correct?
Yes, very.
What was it like for you?
Well, I was uncomfortable from the time we got there because they took me and Ali and separated us from everybody else. Took us to a different hotel, so I wasn't even in the same hotel with all the guys. And then he and I were the royalty, I guess, of the event. I had never wrestled Inoki. I'd never even met him prior to that because I was always working for Baba as the world champion. Or I think I'd met him, but anyway, we never got to talk or anything. We just got in the ring. A referee said, "You okay?" I said, "Yeah." He gave me the finish. I said, "Yeah." I said, "Just tell him to trust me." And then he came back and said, he said, "Lead away." So it was good. We had an average match. We're not being in the ring and not being that familiar with each other. He and Fujinami, I could work with those guys all day long. Muda.
So wait, you never talked with Inoki about the match till you were in the ring?
I never saw him until we got in the ring. The whole tour, the whole trip.
And the referee gave you the finish, and you just did it.
Yeah. No, I just said, "What do you want to do?" And that's what it was. And I just said, "Listen to me, like, let me get the figure 4 on and all this stuff." And here's another shocker. Of course, I was all promised all this stuff again by WCW or whoever was the boss. You can fill in the blanks. It was supposed to never air anywhere. They made a pay-per-view out of it, sold it. I never got a dime.
That's a familiar theme on this podcast, you never getting a dime.
First of all, they promised me, not that they had to, there was nobody seen it anywhere. They made a DVD out of it. I never got paid a dime.
There were 165,000 people in the stadium. What was the crowd like?
190.
190. What was the crowd like?
Silent. Until Inoki. The whole show was silent until Inoki came out. Then they went crazy. Not because the match was so good. Because he's Korean.
Right, I know.
Yeah. So he was like, in their eyes, a returning hero.
Now, why were you in that match against Inoki? Why were you selected? Why wasn't it Hogan? Why wasn't it somebody else?
They wouldn't go. They wanted George Foreman first, Hogan second, me third.
Why wouldn't they go? Just because of Korea? Or?
Yeah, they didn't go. They were smart.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Hogan didn't want to do the job either.
Here's Eric Bischoff. You're going to be more famous than Lawrence Taylor. Okay, let's do this. That sounds good. I see LT all the time. I say, "Am I still more famous than you?"
Now you were in a different hotel. So how many days were you guys there? Because that must have been a long
5.
time.
We were there 5 or we were there 3 days too long. They wouldn't let us go.
Who did you socialize with since you weren't at the hotel with the boys?
A bartender that didn't speak English.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or, a bunch of bartenders.
That's a tough trip.
Yeah. Yeah, what's his name? Scott Norton was cussing out his stay with talking to his wife, Tammy, and they cut off Norton's phone.
Right, and somebody came to see him, he said. That's pretty scary.
Very heavily scrutinized.
And finally, from Clarksvillian.
When we landed in Nagoya, I literally got off that private jet and kissed the ground. Swear to God. Whew.
And finally, from Clarksvillian in Tennessee, what is your opinion of the new NWA, its retro show format, and its potential to grow? You were at their anniversary show or whatever it was. They returned to St. Louis, correct?
Yes.
What's your take on that whole operation?
Well, I think the people that run it are great. I don't know them that well. They treated me like a god, and that's why I'm so excited. St. Louis has been one of my better towns. That's like I consider St. Louis like for me to work in like Greensboro or Charlotte, and we sold it out, and the show was great. And they gave me. I said, the guy said, "How long do you want to talk?" I said, "How much can I have?" He said, I told the story. He said, "Who tells Ric Flair how long you can talk?" I go, "Well, I haven't heard that in a while," but and they gave me about a 10-minute promo. And it was great, and I just said the truth because then in that very ring, that very building, at the Chase, I'd wrestled Pat O'Connor, I'd wrestled Gene Kiniski, I'd wrestled Blackjack Lanza, Blackjack Mulligan, Dick the Bruiser, Harley Race. I mean, did I say Pat O'Connor? Terry, Dory, Jack. I mean, you're talking about legendary people that nobody in this business has wrestled besides me or them. There's 3 of us left. 3 living, traveling world champions. Me, Dory, and Terry. And Terry is hanging on. Dory, and I'm not sure how his health is, but when you do that for a long time and you wrestle all those hours and all that, and you look back and you see you've gone through good times and bad times, but you've given so much of your career to have it be disrespected, not going back to where it was. It's hard not to swallow. But that night I was Ric Flair again, and they made me feel special. And guess what? They paid me.
Well, Nate, you're always Ric Flair. Don't sell yourself short. And you're
no, I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm explaining how it's changed. Even when I was a world champion going to Japan, I would get off a car. This has nothing to do with either promotion. When I first was a world champion, I would land. They would pick me up in a limousine. The other guy is riding a bus. I'd go to a hotel with a press conference with 100 people. That doesn't happen anymore. The business has just changed.
Well, we're going to take it back to like it was on the 28th at Hot Shots in O'Fallon, Illinois, for the live Ric Flair podcast. That is going to be all the way live.
41 tickets left.
They've sold 3 more. You said 44 before.
I know, but 3. I just got pulling up on the phone.
Wow. Well,
41.
41, and if you're not there,
it's going to be SRO.
No question. It's going to be unbelievable. Can't wait.
Hey.
Going to be shooting. Well, we're going to talk about the Royal Rumble in 92 at Great Link. We're going to talk about your history in St. Louis. We've only scratched the surface on those topics. Am I right?
Absolutely. You remember that St. Louis is the home of the Black Scorpion.
Yeah, we'll bring that up too. Just don't bring the costume.
Sting.
Don't bring the costume, please. I'm begging you.
No, I left it.
You have the Black Scorpion costume?
No. I think a girl that did room service has it.
Well, and probably deserves it, and then some. Nate, great stuff. The sun is peeking in, so we got to wrap it up.
Woo!
And we'll do it again next week.
Thank you.
This is Woo Nation Uncensored. I'm Mark Madden, and that is the greatest wrestler of all time, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
The Nature Boy. Woo!